I'm going to show you today how I do drums there's a lot of different ways to do drums, but this is going to be basic compression tutorial, and I'm going to be using the Steele kit from Slate drums, and everything here is going to be stock presets as far as that plugin's concerned. I'm using the TD3 Steele kit. Haven't touched any of the settings on it. Should be exactly as it's going to load in your DAW, and basically I'm just going to send it output through a master bus. All the MIDI recording was done with my Roland TD4 kit, and it plays really well with the Steele drums program. It's super realistic sounding, I think, at least, and the newer version is supposed to be even better, but we'll wait and see. But anyway, so my point is that usually, you're going to want to edit the MIDI after to make sure that your snare and your kick is always never getting lost within the mix, and I haven't done any of that. This is just basic, quick, good sounding drums. So basically have contact player set to output to bus 3132, so it's just going in through this master, and I'll play it back real quick what it sounds like right now with no compression EQ on the master drum bus. So what we want to do is we want to compress the sound so that it's a little bit tighter. So I'm opening up the UAD 1176, which is an emulation of obviously the 1176 limiting amplifier. It's used on a lot of different sources, but it sounds good on drums. There's a lot of different ways to compress drums, and a lot of people have their own preferences for what compressor they like to use. This isn't even necessarily my favorite compressor for drums. Definitely probably not on the master bus, but it definitely has its place. And on a dry sounding kit that we're just trying to make pump with the tempo of the song, it works really well. So first thing we want to do, let me just show you kind of the basics of the plugin. By the way, there's a lot of different emulations of the plugin. You can get like a Bomb Factory one. If you just Google 1176 plugin, I'm sure a billion different things will come up. But basically, this is the attack, and it's kind of backwards. The attack and release are a little bit backwards. Normally you'd think that this would be fast, having it set this way. It's actually the opposite. So attack is like the fast attack, fast release setting by turning the dial all the way right. So what we want to do is, let's set the attack first. Set. Now we want the release. We want to make sure that all the main transients, the kick and the snare, are tight but unobstructed. So probably somewhere around there for attack and release, and then we'll just up the input. Now that we have it a little bit louder, we can kind of hear if there's any imperfections in the way that we're doing it. Notice I moved the release back a little bit because the snare was getting a little bit choppy because the release was set a little bit too fast. And so basically, we got some decent sounding drums on this drum bus now. Now we'll go ahead and add an EQ plugin. One that I really like is the UAD Harrison 32C. make some really good record sounding drums just kind of out of the box. So I like to load up this dangerous drum bus setting and then just play with the controls from there. Usually you'll always have to take the highs down a bit. That's a lot of highs to be adding. But you'll notice there's a lot more shine and sheen to the cymbals and whatnot. It's just a little bit more punchy, and it really helps. If there was other instruments, it'd be easier to illustrate, but it really helps the drums to just be able to keep their clarity within the mix around the other instruments. So you'll notice we have, I mean, as far as the levels go, we still have some headroom to work with, which we definitely want. We don't want ever the drums to be up here in the red right about now. One of the biggest mistakes I made when I was first mixing was I would record everything with the levels way too hot. If you're planning on using plugins and whatnot to modify the sound, you definitely want to leave yourself enough headroom up here to be able to add equalization, add the analog sound on this end. Basically, when you bring it into your DAW, it's going to be, people say you should record around -5 dB. And I would say maybe you don't want to let anything that's coming in on its first, when it first gets into the DAW, be at -5. Maybe that's like your highest level that you want to have. But if you do that, then you'll have a lot more room to work with the sound after and tweak the way you want it to sound. And it's tempting to record things too hot because it sounds better up front when you first record it, but just be patient and record it a little bit lower than you normally would, and I guarantee you'll like the way that your mixes are sounding a lot better. So yeah, basically there we have drums, basic drum bus. From there, what you can do, usually if I had a bass track, I would generally what I do is I take the drums and the bass and then I send them to a master limiter. So basically I'll take the output here and we'll just pretend like we have a bass track. And one limiter that's really good, that's actually free, is this Event Horizon limiter from stillwellaudio.com. And basically, here's show you how much you can hit it. You can hit it a lot harder than most limiters without ruining the sound. So yeah, you just basically play with, it's super simple as far as the controls go. You can get it really big sounding, really, really loud that way. And, since we're limiting it, we're not going to run into the problem of way too much on the master limiter. We know exactly how much is going in from all the drums and how much, volume they're putting out. So, yeah, this isn't necessarily an ideal drums tutorial. This is just basic how to keep it simple. A lot of times you can, at least I spend way too much time just messing with tweaking little things, especially when I'm working with like 10 drum tracks. So it's nice to be able to just keep it simple and run it into a master drum bus every once in a while. And I think the drums here sound pretty good this way. So anyways, hope you found something useful in the tutorial, and be sure to visit my recording blog, resistthesilence.com, for more tutorials, because I'll be posting more soon. All right, have a good one.